And good afternoon, everybody. Apologies we're not live today, but these things happen. However, it won't actually take away from the interview that we're about to have, because everybody has a story, but not everybody knows how to put that story together to get their message across. So with everything that's going on for small business, I figured now is the time that maybe businesses might need a way or some tips on how to amalgamate their message, get it across as we move forward through COVID. And I'd like to welcome Eamonn O'Brien from the Reluctant Speakers Club. Eamonn, you're very welcome.
Good morning. How are we, Barbara? Actually, it's a good afternoon, isn't it?
It is good afternoon. How are you? Yeah, well, no, we've still 10 minutes to go or thereabouts, but sure, no harm. It's going to be afternoon by the time everybody sees this.
That's right. Yeah, it's like when you have the Late Late Show.
Absolutely. Here's one I recorded earlier. Yeah. Eamonn, the Reluctant Speakers Club. I mean, the name itself, Reluctant Speaker, I think probably the majority of people would come under that heading.
They absolutely do. In fact, way back when I set the company up, and the reason I called it that is I did a lot of research, as you should. And so I chatted with lots and lots of people in business, and it's shocking in Ireland that 8 out of 10 people in senior positions in Ireland, and I'm talking about the most senior levels, have such a fear of speaking that they either never do it or only do it under the pain of death. So it's huge. And, we're supposed to have the gift of the gab, but there you are. That's the reality.
And what is it about being in senior position that, is it the fact that being in a senior position, they won't speak because they feel they should know everything? Or is it actually maybe a confidence thing?
It's both and a little bit more. More often than not, the reason is that they don't want to appear stupid. They don't want to be caught out. They don't want people to think less of them. And the more senior you are, the more guarded you are sometimes. And the problem with that is that out of sight is out of mind. In fact, I would say amongst all of the senior execs that I work with, it's astonishing how often they will say, particularly if they're dealing with people overseas, that they just don't feel that they have the same confidence, the same impact, the same connection with their audience. And a lot of it, I think, is down to how we learned things in school. Where we kind of learned things off by heart, and the more you had to say, the better. But also there's a notion that you should be able to speak without notes and all this kind of nonsense. There's a lot of my eye out there. So truth is that we just, fear of the unknown, fear of getting it wrong, fear of messing up can trip us up.
Yeah, and actually you mentioned something there, as you say, the way we were brought up, because I mean, I'm certainly of the generation, speak when you're spoken to.
Well, also it depends. Like, if you're going through school, I don't know what it was like for you, but we had no real experience in speaking in public, although there was, I will tell you a quick story against myself. I don't tell this story very often, but I'll tell you anyway. Shh, don't tell anyone. But so way back when, I think I was maybe 15, and we had an English teacher who said, so who wants to do debating? And somebody must have given me a kick in the shins because my hand shot up. And I remember to this day what the topic was, which was, this house believes that our Taoiseach, the Prime Minister, is nothing more than a ringmaster, and the Dáil is nothing more than a circus. So
oh my goodness, what class were you in?
I was 15, so whatever that was. But
anyway. A good junior cert topic.
Anyway, so I don't remember where I was seeking for or against, but anyway, I stood up with what I thought was 5 minutes worth of killer material, and I got about 30 seconds in, and then I completely spaced. I had no idea what was going to happen next. I looked down, and if you saw my handwriting today, it still looks like a drunken spider in an inkwell. Couldn't find where I was. Looked at the audience, and they were no use. And honest to God, this is exactly what I did long before Forrest Gump was invented. I looked at my audience and I went, and that's all I have to say about that. And I sat down to stunned silence, and I did not speak again in public until I was 28.
Wow, it had such an impact.
And then I discovered actually that there's a whole different mentality, this thing called rhetoric and all that kind of stuff. And I've been a professional speaker now for 26 years. But honestly, it can be debilitating if you don't have good experiences too.
Yeah, because the thing is, and I know we're talking about, like when you mention exec, people automatically picture, you know, somebody up in the top floor of a big building and all this kind of thing. But even a reluctant speaker can be somebody standing in front of their local committee, whether it's a GAA club, a community centre, or whatever. And to them, even though they would know everybody individually and have comfort speaking individually, once you put them together as a group of 7 or 8 people and they have to stand, it's kind of like all the layers have been stripped back from you and you really feel vulnerable.
Oh, it is. And especially when these are people that are in your community and they know you or you know them. And so the price of messing up can feel a bit higher. And actually, one of my very first clients, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me mentioning this, came to me because she was involved with a county GA board and they'd never listened to her and it drove her nuts. And she said, well, what am I going to do about this? I said, you know, I've got lots of good ideas. So anyway, I worked with her and I will tell you, and you could look this up afterwards, she became the first woman to chair a county board for GAA in Ireland.
Wow.
Because she changed her mindset and relaxed because she realized that the speaking wasn't about what people thought about her, but rather what people got out of the experience.
And that's what I was just going, that's actually, it's funny what you say. I think part of the thing when somebody is speaking publicly, now obviously I know this is recorded, now I would have a lot of experience from being on stage, having grown up on stage in a music and theatre family. But
were you jazz hands?
Oh, I am a jazz hands child. But what you feel is that when somebody's not used to it, when they go to speak publicly, what they don't realize, and I suppose it's one of the things that even I would say to a client, is that they're not actually, they have to look at you. I mean, if they all sat with their backs to you, you'd think you were being ignored.
Yes.
So they actually have to sit and face you, but they're not looking at you. They are, in fact, they want to hear what it is.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're not worried about you at all. I mean, like, you know, if I asked you hand on heart, now obviously you've done a deal of training and speaking over the years, but did you lose any sleep at all last night wondering would Eamonn be all right today?
Not at all.
Not at all. No.
I was probably more worried about what am I going to say today.
Correct, because it doesn't matter who you are. We only when we go to listen to somebody, while we have our moments, we want something that we think that's interesting, that's really useful, I could do something with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So for small businesses now then, I mean, how do they, I mean, it's a very broad question, but how can they craft their story? Where do they look? Because they're going to have to go now and put themselves together again, you know, pick up the pieces after these few months, and have a look at what they have within themselves to bring forward. I mean, we're all going to be trying to attract new clients and maybe present to new businesses that we've never presented to before.
Yeah. And the short answer is that before you craft your story, and we need to be collecting stories at all times, the first thing is you've got to decide why are you there in the first place? What are you going to help people to solve? So I always say to people at the outset, who are you trying to help? And what problems will you solve first? Because if you have clarity on that, then everything else flows from that. But then the stories that you develop then really are methods of kind of showing people how to maybe think about something from their perspective and not from yours. And so maybe we'll get into a little bit of detail as to why that happens in a story. But first thing, more than anything else, if you did nothing else, you've got to have much more clarity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as my missus is commonly telling me, Eamon, you are totally incapable of multitasking. And I freely admit to this, but so is everybody. So if I have loads of different methods and thoughts and messages in my head, the truth is that the audience will lose the will to live very, very quickly if you do that on a stage. Now, you do it on a screen, they're going to click off or they're going to check out. And to be honest with you, you're wasting your time and spinning their wheels and your own. So do yourself and your audience a favor. Always start with greater clarity as to what am I going to help people to deal with today?
Yeah, and actually you mentioned, and it ties in with the story, because you mentioned in one of your posts last week or the week before on Facebook, I think it was, about how Jacinda Ardern just nails it. You know, and I'm not even.
Oh God, yes, yeah, she's fantastic. Yeah, yeah.
It's not even that I'm getting political here. It's just she happens to be in the public eye,
yeah,
and she just speaks with that confidence and flow. And guys, this is what it is. This is what we're doing or we're not doing, and you know. But it's how she puts it across.
Yeah. And for people who don't know who she is, she's the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and I think she's only like 37, 38, but she is a superstar. In fact, actually, when I put that article out there, somebody said, "Oh, you should look up over British Columbia. We have this marvelous woman. In fact, she's got a cult going now. People think she's so marvelous." And I did look her up, and she is absolutely fantastic. And so the truth is that if people see that you're taking the right stance, the right motivation, one of the first things we look at when we listen to anybody is, do I trust you?
Yeah.
And why are you here? And what am I going to get out of this experience? So unlike that fellow over in America who's constantly messing.
Well, we won't go there today.
We won't go there. Exactly. To inspire confidence, people have to buy into you as well as your message. And particularly when you're online, that's really important, because unlike in an audience where I have like one to many, every single person who's watching this, it's one to one. So it's like me having a conversation with you, Barbara, but I'm actually having a conversation through you to lots and lots of individuals. So, and actually just speaking to the difference that that the right mentality can have. We can have a look here in Ireland. I mean, Leo Varadkar, I saw something fascinating just a week ago where when we had our election back in February. Do you remember that?
It's hard to go back that far, actually.
In fact, I even had a look at a picture the day after, because my missus and I did something we'd never done before. We went into the vote counting area, and actually we were kind of the tally men and women. That was fascinating. But anyway, back then, his popularity was down to about 20%, give or take. 20% of the Irish population said, yeah, we think he should be our Taoiseach. That figure has now gone up to over 35% 7 weeks later. And that's a lot of that is down to because on St. Patrick's Day or just before it, he stood up and he was very, very honest. No smoke, no mirrors, no messing.
And it was that delivery. How he delivered that message.
It was how he delivered it. It was earnest. It wasn't perfect, but it was earnest, and you believed him. And then recently, he then had a follow-up, and now we have the plan. And that you compare that with our pals across the water. Yesterday, I had so many pals in Britain saying, "You've got to be joking me," because they had young Boris. Who was talking about, right, so you don't have to say...
You see where you've gone with this thread on public speaking. You've gone into your passion of politics and watching all... that's my fault for mentioning Jacinda.
Oh, no, it's not. No, I'm simply saying that the impression that you leave is that all he simply said, now I want you to be alert.
Yeah, I know. So the language that you use in getting your message across is crucial.
It's very important, because if people don't know what you're talking about, a remarkable thing is going to happen. Not much. Not
much, exactly. They're definitely not going to fall with you.
Yeah.
So when you are putting your story together, and obviously then if somebody has to, the thing about, actually, I'm going to step back a little bit there, because the thing about public speaking is, when if I approached you now, okay, it's what you do, but if I approach somebody and said, right, okay, I need you to make a presentation, one of the first things I find they think of is, I'll be standing on the stage, I'm going to have a, massive audience or something, and with that, the perspiration starts flowing off them.
Oh yeah.
You just fall apart. So automatically the image, it's like saying to somebody you're going to do an exam, they just kind of, oh, it's that same
Yeah, it
kind
is.
of
Yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah, yeah, and the anxiety comes from a whole range of things. So what we worry about, and actually this is part of the research that I did way back when. I thought, so well, what are you worried about? And so they were worried about, I'm afraid that I won't say the right thing. I'm afraid that I'll say the wrong thing. I'm afraid, actually, this is a big one as we get older, I won't remember what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that would be more the category.
Why are you laughing? I know I meant to say something. Yeah, I'm afraid that I look foolish. And all of these things revolve around the same notion, which is that we're worried about how people are going to assess us, how people are going to judge us. And as we established earlier on, you weren't worried about me at all last night.
No, I'm sorry, Eamonn.
Will I be all right today? So the truth is that the audience is really only there for that one thing, which is, what am I going to get out of this that's going to be helpful? And I'll give you a good, for instance. So last night, I'm involved with professional speaking in America. Also, I do a lot of work with them. They had a session on very late last night by a woman called Michelle Villalobos. Great name. It sounds like she should be a singer. But anyway, talking about moving programs that might have been kind of real world live events into trying to do something online. And what was fabulous was that so many people commented afterwards that they thought this was going to be kind of a dog and pony show, and it wasn't. Everything that she did last night, and this is something that we can all do, was totally based on, this might be helpful. Here's something I learned. No smoke.
Are you moving away from your mic? Sorry, Eamonn, come back into your mic there a wee bit. Sorry.
Oh, did the mic go off there?
I'm losing you. You just kind of got a little bit faint on me. I just want to make sure that I don't lose you.
Right. Yeah, well, that can happen actually with the microphone here, that on occasion I sometimes actually, and there's something actually, a quick digression, when you're doing stuff online, there are issues with microphones that you attach through the modern MacBook Pro, where I'm using, you can't see it here, an extension. And the upshot is that sometimes that drops. So can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I'll have you back there now.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank God for that. Anyway, meanwhile, back with Michelle.
No, so the
point I was making is that being there to specifically help, as opposed to lecturing, makes a world of a difference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So for someone then who is going to, how do they break down what it is they want to present? I mean, there's a format. Is it, so much for your intro, so much for your body, and
Well, it's not quite that prescriptive, but the first thing is that you must connect with an audience quickly. And there must be a good reason why they're listening to you. So one of the things that I always say to folks is, look, don't start with the platitudes. They were a dreadful band in the 1960s and they're not getting any better now. Start with something that's of interest to your audience. So if, for example, you're talking about wellness, within 30 seconds, if I'm talking about wellness, I want to talk about, so, how are you feeling right now? Are things okay? I want to ask questions that invite you in, that make you feel involved, or I might want to maybe start with a story, or I might want to start with something. But the bottom line is that I want you within seconds to think, this sounds interesting. I wonder what they're going to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really, really important. Don't wait. Have you ever listened to a sermon in particular? where
Plenty.
where 5 minutes, 10 minutes in, he said, I have no idea what this is about.
Yeah.
Well, online, I mean, mentally, physically, people will check out in a matter of seconds. And like even we talked about how Facebook isn't working today. On Facebook, if you haven't got an audience attention within seconds, you're toast.
I know, that's true. That's very much true.
Yeah.
And the
So,
other thing, I
yeah.
mean, surely body language would come into that
Oh,
as
body
well.
language is very important, and people make assessments about you literally within nanoseconds. In fact, I have a collaboration with a fellow called Stefan Vera, who's one of Europe's leading experts on body language. And one of the things that people are constantly looking at is to see, can I trust you, first of all? That's one of the first things. So body language, here's a quick, this would be great for a pub quiz now. First thing we notice when we look at somebody physically, what do you think it is?
I would say their eyes.
You're close, but not right.
I don't
We
know.
look at the shape of somebody, because our first thing is, do I like the
Top
look?
to bottom shape or face?
Top to bottom shape.
Oh, right, okay.
Because the first thing was like, is this person going to do me in? Is there any harm coming my way?
Yeah.
So that's our first reaction, and then we look at the eyes.
Right.
And so on the body language side of things,
I'm trying to be really good here today, so making sure that
I'm going to show you something. I'm going to make you laugh, okay? Now, and I'm giving away lots of secrets here. Do you see this?
Yes. Oh dear.
I'm
you
not.
forgot the curls.
Yeah, I'm not going to make my fortune as an artist, but I have that up here, and I recommend, I did it on purpose here, that people do this to make sure that you are looking to and through the lens when you're speaking to your audience, because otherwise I'm doing this.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And like yourself, my camera is, on top, and it's one of those things that you're constantly doing, but it shifts that often if something moves, that I kind of just keep.
Oh, it is. And listen, don't worry about being perfect, because like in conversation, we don't look at people constantly. We do kind of look away and do, but we spend most of our time looking at people, because, if you and I were having a conversation and I was looking past you, you get upset in short order, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, this is it. So listen, because I actually could keep going and chatting about body language and yeah, absolutely, and presentation. What would you say are the top? Oh, actually, I completely forgot to mention. I think I can do it here now. I'm going to have a go. I know this is a recording, but because you have a book.
I do.
And I said that, yeah, we will. Let me see. I am going to see if I can. Actually, it won't let me do it there when I wanted to share the screen. But you have a book called
How to Make Powerful Speeches.
How to Make Powerful Speeches.
Literally
and it is available from your website.
Yeah. So it's a step-by-step guide on how to create a fascinating speech that people will remember.
Well, I have a funny feeling that your interview today will be very well remembered, because we went through business and politics and teenagers and kids and your wife, bless her. Yes, she got brought into it today.
Can I just a quick shout out actually just to the power of creating content that connects with people. So you and I were part of a video challenge recently where we did 30 days, which was, you wouldn't get that for manslaughter, but anyway. But anyway, so I asked my missus who's involved in the environmental area and said, do you want me to do a video? And said, oh, sure, I don't know what to say. And I said, listen, look, don't worry, I'll ask you a question and you just talk to me and talk through the lens. And so anyway, she gave some tips about not wasting water during this coronavirus thing as the 20 seconds that we're washing our hands. Mm-hmm. And the next day we're out on a walk in Hoth right beside me, and this guy, oh, I saw you on the video. My missus said, you've got to watch this. He says, she is dead right. I've been telling my children this. And I said, I just want you to show you that's viral communication in practice. If you have something that's resonant with your audience, that it's personal, and literally within a space of 24 hours, I thought that was hilarious.
Absolutely brilliant. And I have to say, compliments to her. She was very, very good. And I hope they are on your Facebook page, and put it over onto your business page so that people following this now can have a look too when they click on. But Eamonn, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. And it's great. That's the great thing about the online communication that we're all at now, and the various networkings and things that we do, and the video challenges and that. That we kind of get to know each other, and that we have, you know, paths that may cross or can, or, you know, that work with each other. So yeah, thank you so much. And
My
to
pleasure.
the audience out there, if you have any questions, please pop them in under this video. I know Eamonn can come on to the page at any stage if we see any questions, and you know, he will be able to answer them. And you can access his book via his website, thereluctantspeakersclub.com. And yeah, so thank you everybody, and hopefully we'll see you properly live on Thursday. Cheers. Bye.